The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the parking lot of the Civic Auditorium in Portland, Oregon. Inside her decade-old Honda Civic, 23-year-old Maya Richardson sat gripping the steering wheel, her knuckles white with tension. In the passenger seat beside her rested a violin case, its leather worn smooth from years of use. She'd been sitting there for 20 minutes, watching other contestants file into the building with their guitars, their backing tracks, their confident smiles and designer outfits. Maya looked down at her own clothes. Simple jeans, a white blouse she'd ironed 3 times that morning, and boots she'd borrowed from her roommate. Nothing flashy. Nothing that screamed star quality. She picked up her phone and stared at the screensaver, a photo of her grandmother, the woman who'd first placed a violin in her hands when she was 5 years old. "You have magic in you, mija," her grandmother had always said. "But magic only works when you're brave enough to share it." Maya took a deep breath, grabbed her violin case, and stepped out of the car. The registration area was chaos. Producers rushed past with clipboards and headsets. Contestants practiced scales and runs in corners. A young guy with a mohawk was doing vocal warm-ups that sounded like a cat being strangled. Maya found the check-in table and gave her name to a woman who barely looked up from her tablet. Maya Richardson. Violin. Got it. You're number 47. Wait in the holding area until they call you. The holding area was a large room with folding chairs and fluorescent lighting that made everyone look slightly ill. Maya found a seat in the corner and opened her violin case. The instrument inside had been her grandmother's, passed down through 3 generations. The wood was rich and deep, with small scratches that told stories Maya would never fully know. She rosined her bow and began to tune, trying to block out the nervous energy around her. A girl next to her was hyperventilating into a paper bag. Across the room, a group of dancers were running through their choreography in the limited space available. "First time?" a voice asked. Maya looked up to see a tall woman with bright red hair and kind eyes standing beside her. "That obvious?" Maya replied with a weak smile. "You have that look. Like you're about to walk the plank." The woman extended her hand. "I'm Veronica. Singer-songwriter. This is my 3rd audition show. Different cities, different panels, same terror." They shook hands. Maya. "And yeah, I'm absolutely terrified. What's your talent?" Maya gestured to her violin. "Classical music. Vivaldi's Winter, from the Four Seasons." Veronica's expression shifted slightly, a flicker of something that might have been concern. "That's beautiful. Bold choice. Bold meaning risky. Bold meaning classical doesn't always translate on these shows. Judges want something they can imagine on the radio, something commercial. But hey, if you play it with passion, anything can work." Before Maya could respond, a production assistant called out, "Number 47, Maya Richardson. You're up in 5. Her heart dropped into her stomach. Veronica squeezed her shoulder. "Go show them what you've got." The walk to the stage felt like miles. Maya followed the production assistant through narrow hallways, past crew members adjusting lights and cameras, until they reached the wings. From there, she could see the stage, massive and exposed under brilliant lights. Beyond it, the darkened auditorium held an audience of hundreds. And at the long judges' table sat 4 figures she recognized from television, industry professionals who could change lives with a single yes or crush dreams with a no. "When you hear your music start, walk out to center stage," the assistant instructed. "Slate your name and what you'll be performing. Then it's all you." Maya nodded, though she wasn't sure her legs would carry her that far. The lights dimmed. The audience quieted. And then she heard it, the opening notes of her backing track beginning to play. It was her cue. She stepped onto the stage. The lights were blinding. For a moment, Maya couldn't see anything beyond the first few rows. Her violin felt impossibly heavy in her hands. She walked to the center mark on the floor, positioned her feet, and looked out toward where she knew the judges sat. "Hi," she said, her voice smaller than she'd intended. She cleared her throat and tried again. "Hi. My name is Maya Richardson. I'm 23, from Portland, Oregon, and I'll be playing Vivaldi's Winter, from the Four Seasons." From the judges' table, she heard a voice. Simon, the famously harsh British judge known for his brutally honest critiques. "Just the violin. Nothing else." "Just the violin," Maya confirmed, raising it to her shoulder. "All right then. Whenever you're ready." Maya closed her eyes, took a breath, and began to play. The first notes sang out clear and pure. Her fingers flew across the fingerboard, drawing out the aggressive, sharp movements that characterized Vivaldi's interpretation of Winter's Fury. The piece was fast, technically demanding, requiring precision and passion in equal measure. Maya poured everything into it, every hour of practice in her grandmother's living room, every sacrifice she'd made to pursue music instead of the practical career her parents had wanted for her. She played through the first movement, her bow attacking the strings with controlled violence, then softening for the gentle passages that represented shelter from the storm. 90 seconds in, she risked opening her eyes and glancing toward the judges. 3 of them looked mildly interested but not particularly moved. The fourth, Simon, was looking at his phone. Something inside Maya cracked. This wasn't working. She could feel it. The audience was polite but not engaged. The judges were already mentally moving on to the next act. This performance that she'd practiced for months, this piece she'd perfected, was falling flat. She had maybe 30 seconds left in her arrangement. And in that moment, Maya made a decision that would change everything. As she drew her bow across the final sustained note of the violin piece, instead of letting it fade to silence as planned, she transitioned it into something else entirely. Her fingers shifted positions, and suddenly the classical melody morphed into something contemporary, a melody from a pop song that had been dominating the radio for months. The change was so unexpected that Simon actually looked up from his phone. Maya brought the violin down from her shoulder but kept playing, the melody now simpler, more rhythmic. And then, still playing, she began to sing. Her voice, rich and powerful and completely unexpected, filled the auditorium. She sang the first verse of the pop song while accompanying herself on violin, something she'd practiced alone in her apartment but never planned to perform publicly. The combination was unique, striking, impossible to ignore. The judges sat up straighter. The audience began to murmur with interest. But Maya wasn't done. After 8 bars of the pop song, she transitioned again, this time into a soulful R&B melody, her voice dropping into a lower register that showcased a completely different quality. Her violin playing adapted, becoming more rhythmic, almost percussive as she used the bow and the body of the instrument to create beats. She was beatboxing and singing and playing violin simultaneously, creating a one-woman orchestra that was unlike anything the judges had seen before. The audience erupted. People were on their feet. The energy in the room had completely transformed. Maya cycled through 4 different musical styles in the span of 2 minutes, showcasing not just her violin skills but her vocal range, her ability to blend genres, her creativity and spontaneity. For the finale, she brought it all together, singing a soaring original melody over violin runs that incorporated elements of everything she'd just performed. When the final note rang out, the auditorium exploded with applause. Maya stood there, breathing hard, her heart pounding, scarcely believing what she'd just done. The judges were all standing, clapping. Even Simon was on his feet, a rare smile crossing his usually stern face. Maya Richardson, Simon said, his voice cutting through the applause as he gestured for the audience to quiet down. I have to ask, why on earth did you start with just the classical piece? Maya felt heat rise to her cheeks. I wanted to honor my training, my grandmother who taught me. But halfway through, I could see I was losing you. I had to make a choice. Play it safe and be forgotten, or take a risk. That risk, said Jennifer, the pop star judge, was absolutely brilliant. Your voice is incredible. I had no idea that was coming. Marcus, the record producer, leaned forward. Can we talk about the technical skill here? You were playing violin, singing, creating percussion, transitioning between genres seamlessly. How long have you been able to do this? The violin since I was 5. The singing, I've always sung, but I never thought it was good enough to share. I only started combining them about a year ago, just messing around at home. Just messing around, repeated Alicia, the 4th judge, a Broadway veteran. You created something completely original just messing around. Do you have any idea how rare that is? Maya shook her head, overwhelmed. Simon stepped in. Here's my concern, and I'm going to be honest because that's what I do. You started with something safe and classical, and it was fine but forgettable. Then you took a risk and became unforgettable. If we put you through to the next round, I need to know that you're going to take risks, not hide behind what's safe. I understand, Maya said, her voice steady now. I've been hiding my whole life. Hiding my voice because I didn't think I was good enough to be a singer. Hiding my creativity because I thought I had to be a pure classical musician to honor my training. I'm done hiding. The judges exchanged looks. I'm a yes, Jennifer said immediately, hitting her button. A large